In today's episode, I'm going to take you through the process, the factors that led to the penetration of Christianity into the interior of East Africa. We are still looking at Christianity in the East African environment. That is paper 3 of senior 5 of A level. So last time we looked at the role of colonialism in the spread of Christianity. Now today we are looking at the penetration. How did Christianity enter slowly by slowly into the interior of East Africa? So we are looking at the factors that were solely responsible for the spread of Christianity in the East African interior. When I say interior, I'm saying inside, interior, within Kenya, within Tanzania, within Uganda. That is the East African interior. Initially, Christianity was concentrating at the East African coast because most missionaries lived at the coast due to urbanization and feared to come into the interior due to its remoteness. There were very many factors why the missionaries concentrated at the East African coast. At the East African coast, many social services had been established by the earlier missionaries and explorers that came into the interior. So a number of hospitals, dispensaries and clinics had been established. Roads had been established. So better housing had also been established at the coast. So all those whites that came concentrated at the coast. So there was social security. Roads were there. So those that feared to come into the interior concentrated at the coast. However, with the time, Christianity started penetrating deep into the interior due to a number of factors as explained in this audio. The early exploratory works of the explorers like John Speke and Dr. David Livingstone inspired very many missionaries to come into the interior to spread the gospel. So these explorers gave clear reports. They gave clear reports to the missionaries who were outside, which opened them, which interested them, which inspired them to go into the interior, because those reports even revealed the welcoming tribes, the welcoming cultures, and those that were hostile. Those that were hostile, missionaries did not go there. 2, there was competition for converts between the Christian missionaries and the Arab Muslims that favored the spread of the gospel into the interior. Missionaries wanted converts. That one forced them to go into the interior to get those converts. Now, at that time when missionaries came, also the Muslims wanted to strengthen their bid to have very many converts joining them. Now, with the missionaries, they were, of course, anyway, when we go to the next point I would say the competition for converts between the two Christian denominations. The two Christian denominations, Catholics and then the Protestants. This competition forced them to go into the interior. It made it propelled them to go into the interior to get to get converts, to preach to very many people into the interior. You know, when you need something, you cannot just look. You go, even if it is amidst thorns, you go and get it. You make a sacrifice. These Catholics, the Protestants also, had that. They were ready. They were commissioned personnel from Europe to come here and spread Christianity. Another point, missionary offering of education to the people of East Africa attracted very many people to join the church. Missionaries established very many schools in the interior. We're looking at the factors that led to the spread of Christianity in the interior. The missionary establishment of schools. In these schools, CRE was compulsory. English was the mode of instruction. The Bible was written in English. Missionaries in these schools, they were training people that can preach the good news. Catholics established schools for theologians only, brothers and sisters. So in the process, they were raising church leaders. Next, missionary offering, the missionary offering of health services, where they treated only those who were converted. Catholic hospitals, Protestant hospitals, those that were converted would be the ones to be treated. This attracted more believers to join the church in order to receive health services. Take an example of Mengo Hospital. Then Lubaga Hospital. Mengo Hospital, initially it was only for Protestants. And then Lubaga Hospital, initially it was only for Catholics. So the establishment of these hospitals along religious lines attracted very many people along that line also. Next, the weakness by African traditional religion, especially during the Maji-Maji Rebellion, made the East Africans to join Christianity. The Maji-Maji Rebellion, they were told, you remember the story of Chitire, that where they were told to smear themselves with water. When you smear yourself with water, even if you are shot, you do not feel it, the bullet will not enter you. Now, very many people died during that rebellion. They put a lot of trust in that water, but they ended up dying. So very many, now this one helped to expose the weakness of the African culture. That it was not strong enough to protect them. So others lost their faith to Christianity. They lost the faith in the African traditional religion and they ended up joining Christianity. So, plus other weaknesses. You know, Africans, I told you, is Christianity entered into East Africa in 1844 or 40. So during that time, and in 1900, for example, 1900, those are very many years. So a number of people had been converted. Their mindsets had been changed. So they ended up liking the Western culture, the missionary culture, and hated their own culture. So the missionaries helped so much to expose the weaknesses of the African culture, which made very many Africans to hate their own culture and embrace Christianity within here. Next, the establishment of ex-slave rehabilitation centers in places like Bagamoyo, Rabai, Impia, made East Africans to look at missionaries as very good people, hence joining Christianity. Now with the slave trade had proved a problem to the Africans. So when missionaries came and established homes which could accommodate the ex-slaves had become hopeless. So when missionaries established ex-slave rehabilitation centers, they went there, they got fathers, because the white fathers, the Catholic fathers, became their fathers, their parents, their new parents, gave them food, gave them accommodation, welcomed them in and shaped them, counseled them, and showed them that there is life after today. They were given warm food, they were given clothes, they were given social protection. Because in the interior, people were being looked for in order to be taken into slavery. So missionaries were there. Next point, missionaries got financial support from their home countries, which helped them to boost their missionary work, hence increasingly penetrating into the interior to establish Christian projects like schools, hospitals, roads, hence attracting very many people into Christianity. Next, the translation of Bible scriptures into local languages made very many East Africans to able to understand the gospel. Those that understood the gospel felt it very comfortable to preach the gospel, to extend the gospel to their fellow Africans. This alone helped to spread the gospel into the interior. Another point, missionaries, while spreading the good news, used African converts themselves who acted as catechists, priests, and evangelists. This helped to overcome the problem of the missionary manpower gap, hence the penetration of Christianity into the interior. Next, the development of transport and communication network, which included roads and rail lines. This eased the movement of the evangelists, the missionaries in different areas of the interior, hence helping in the penetration of Christianity into the interior. Now, because those that had concentrated at the coast, after the roads, the rail lines were established, they could now move from the interior into from the coast into the interior. Next, the indigenization. Indigenization is to make African, to Africanize, to indigenize, to make a local. The Africanization of the church. Africanization of the church means missionaries allowed some African practices like circumcision, polygamy to be enjoyed, to be practiced within the church. Even using local languages to be used, using local languages while preaching the gospel, that is also Africanization of the church. Allowing Africans to lead the church, that also meant Africanizing the church. Now, fellow Africans preaching to fellow Africans. Africans saw drums, the usual drums of theirs being used in the preaching of the good news. That one simply attracted them to the gospel. They stopped looking at the gospel as foreign. They started looking at it as part of them. That is Africanization. The Africanization of the church made it very open for very many Africans to embrace Christianity. Now, circumcision became a practice within the church. It is okay, accept circumcision as well as accepting baptism, because they liked circumcision. Circumcision brought a problem. It is one of the causes of the Maji and the Mau rebellions. So missionaries realized that they were losing converts. So they said it is okay. Someone can accept circumcision as well as being baptized as a Catholic. These two groups, Catholics and Protestants, were looking for converts. So time came, however much they said no circumcision, no this, what. Later, they accepted to allow some African practices to be enjoyed in the church. Another point, the role played by the Bomba Africans. I told you, when they moved across the interior, spreading the gospel, these Bomba Africans, whenever they entered into the interior, it inspired very many Africans to join Christianity. You covered the Bombay Africans. Bomba Africans were former slaves that had been rehabilitated at a place called Bombay in India. These ones had been prepared, had been rehabilitated, and they were ready to preach the good news to fellow Africans. So they were brought in East Africa, and they helped in the preaching of the good news in local languages to fellow Africans. This made fellow Africans to admire them. At times when these Bomba Africans were moving with the whites, fellow Africans admired them. Fellow Africans, whenever they heard these Bomba Africans speaking English and translating to their languages, to local languages, Africans admired them. So very many of them ended up accepting Christianity simply because of this. Next point, the security offered to the missionaries by the local governments in East Africa made it very simple. Kabaka Motesa gave a lot of security, gave his own guards to the missionaries to preach the good news. You ask Alexander Mackay if he could hear you. You ask him. He was given a lot of security at here where he studied. Next point, the testimonies that were given by the new converts. These Africans gave converts about their life. This inspired very many people in the interior here to join Christianity. Another point, the killing of the Uganda martyrs in Uganda in 1886 made Christianity popular. And as these people were being killed, burnt, the onlookers became sympathizers. These sympathizers ended up accepting Christianity. Another point, the killing of Bishop Annington in 1885 from Busoga disappointed very many people, but it acted as blood that bought Christianity in East Africa. The killing of Bishop Annington attracted very many people into joining Christianity. Next, missionaries gave out free Christian literature and books to the Africans. This enabled many of them, many Africans, to understand the gospel. The role played by African evangelists like Apollo Chivebulaya. Apollo Chivebulaya walked on foot from Buganda here around Lake Victoria to Toro, from Toro to Mboga Zaire, preaching the good news. Then, second last, the religious wars in Uganda. Religious wars in Uganda contributed to the spread of Christianity because Christians reign in different places, running away in safety for their lives. But in all those places they reign to, they moved with the gospel. They were preaching the good news. They were running away from Uganda because of the wars, but wherever they went, they were preaching the good news. They actually made Christianity to be known. The wars made Christianity to be known, and very many people, especially here in Uganda, the Catholics and the Protestants fought to the extent that brothers and sisters killed each other. The Catholics say yes. The Protestants say yes. They hear you talking about, if Catholics hear someone saying yes during the day, they would come at night and burn your house. They kill you. So the wrong was kept on from 1888 to 1892. Lastly, the abolition of slave trade by the missionaries. The efforts made by the missionaries to abolish slave trade made very many Africans to love the missionaries, hence making Christianity to grow. Then lastly, we can say the invitation of the Christian missionaries by African kings like Mutesa I of Uganda in 1875 wrote a letter through H.M. Stanley to the King of England to invite Christian teachers to come here and preach the good news. This made missionaries to have their gospel spread with a lot of confidence and without fear, because they were invited by the king. Full stop. So the answers are very many. So I want you to outline this work. You outline the factors that led to the spread of Christianity in East Africa. So the other part which I want to explain is the factors that slowed down the spread of Christianity at the cost of Kenya between 1890 and 1920. Why did the spread of Christianity slacken at the cost of Kenya between 1890 and 1920? Now, one of the reasons between 1890 and 1920, the local chief of the Wandigo tribe converted from Christianity to Islam, with most of his tribesmen and women, which made Christianity to slacken. When the king converts to one faith, all the people following him convert to that faith, or they leave that faith. For example, the missionaries here in Uganda, the Catholics wanted the Kabaka and the Katikkiro to convert to Catholicism, which would mean that all people in Uganda would become Catholics. The Protestants also wanted the Kabaka and the Katikkiro to become Protestants, which would mean that all people in Uganda would become Protestants. So the fight over the Kabaka and his leadership, his team to convert to either side, made those two groups to fight, which also woken the Muslims to fight, to join the wars, which made the traditionalists also to say, hey, you people, you want to replace us. Okay, we go back to Kenya. In 1895, there was a Muslim-led rebellion of the Wandigo tribe against the British and the Christians at the Kenyan coast, which also affected the spread of the gospel. During the same period, the missionaries withdrew from the coastal areas. They ran away to the interior of East Africa, hence hindering the spread of the gospel at the coast. So Islam had taken strong roots at the coast. That is another point, and it was quite difficult. It was quite difficult to how to compete the Muslims or the Islam spread, hence slackening the spread of Christianity. Then Christianity was seen as a more foreign religion at the coast as compared to Islam that had taken very many years at the coast and without affecting the African ways of life. But when Christianity came in, they started pinpointing at people's practices. That is bad, that one is bad, that one is bad, that one is bad. If you don't do this, you will go to hell. These Christians are so much emphasizing hell than things which are good. Next thing, Christianity, the early missionaries at the coast were more interested in exploration works than evangelization work, which made Christianity to slacken, to be slow at the coast. Even these early explorers were very slow because they were very few. How could they begin attacking people, preaching against Islam? The Muslims were very many, and these ones were only two, for example, Ludwig Kurafu and then Johannes Rebelman. They were very few. So how would they do the work that would be done by very many people? So they would compromise. They would go slow, very slow, such that they would not be attacked. Now, if they started attacking the spread of Islam, how do you know that those people would be killed and they would be forgotten and would not be talking about them? We are looking at why Christianity slackened at the coast of Kenya between 1890 and 1920. The establishment of colonialism at the coast made Africans more suspicious of the missionaries than the Arabs and the Islam. Arabs spent a lot of time at the coast. They even introduced trade, which benefited very many people. Now, when these missionaries came, they brought whites that started taking over people's property, people's land. They actually made Africans to lose their power. Africans, this led to the rise of rebellions. The Maji-Maji, look at the Mau Mau rebellions. These ones led to the death of very many people. So Africans hated. Actually, they could not even distinguish a white, a colonialist, and a missionary. They fought against all of them. This slackened the spread of Christianity. Next, the construction and extension of the Uganda Railway into the interior attracted more missionaries into the interior from the coast. So they left the coast and went into the interior. Another point, the continued use of foreign languages, especially English, by the missionaries at the coast, led to language barrier problems, hence limiting the spread of Christianity. Then we can say the increased British protection towards the missionaries inspired the missionaries to penetrate into the interior for evangelization, hence abandoning the East African coast. Another point, the competition for followers among the Christian mission societies led to the influx of very many people into the interior, hence ignoring the East African coast. As they came, the stiff competition, Catholics and Protestants were fighting for converts. That's why we have very many Catholic schools, Protestant schools. They did not do that in order to convert people, to lead people to go to heaven. No, they were interested in having very many people whom they would collect money every Sunday and develop their own countries. Another point, the increased missionary interest to establish mission centers in Kikuyu and Buganda communities at that time made them to withdraw from the coastal areas. We are looking at the reasons why Christianity slackened at the coast. between 1890 and 1992. They left the East African coast for the interior because they were interested in establishing centers within the interior, which made them to ignore the East African coast. The East African coast was so much occupied by the Muslims, and some people feared them. They became suspicious because missionaries were almost colonialists. They were dealing with colonialists. They started doubting their activities. Another point, the desire by the missionaries to engage in cash crop production. Cash crop production made them to go into the interior where they would have large hectares of land. And this land was missing at the coast, hence slackening the spread of the gospel at the coast. So they went into the interior and concentrated there. Next, the existence of huge chunks of land in the interior for settlement and production by the missionaries pushed many of them from the coast to the interior because there was a lot of land in the interior. Another point, the decline of slave trade at the coast for new strategic places of getting followers. So slave trade declined and everyone became peaceful. Missionaries lost the market for slave raiders, for hopeless people. So what they did, the only market that was available for their converts was in the interior. So they came into the interior. That's why they came here in Uganda. Lastly, the hospitality of the interior tribes, especially the Baganda, contributed to the missionaries, attracted the missionaries from the coast, which led to the spread of Christianity in the interior and led to lost spread of Christianity at the coast because the people left the coast and came into the interior, where people were very accommodative, very, very accommodative and welcoming. So maybe someone can also say the too much coldness at the coast also forced missionaries into the interior, where the environment was a bit warm and favorable for settlement. So that has been today's episode. We shall meet in the next episode. Thank you.